Hello and welcome to Eastern Horizon. This is Malik Ayub Sumbul, and we are live streaming on Eastern Horizon social media accounts Facebook, YouTube, and X. So, the tension between the United States and Iran is escalating once again, and the Iran foreign minister has given the statement that US may have the miscalculation about the state of the Hormuz. Meanwhile, we saw that the Houthis has been getting strengthened, and they have been involved into the number of attacks recently on Saudi Arabia and some other, and there is a tension also rising between the Bab el Mandeb. So, to discuss this, I have joined a very expert who is an authority on the Yemen affairs, Abdulghani Al-Iryani. He is joining me from Egypt. He is a researcher on the Sana Center in Yemen. Thank you very much, Abdulghani Al-Iryani.
Thank you for having me.
So, first of all, how you see, mean that the developments that are taking place, especially between the United States and Iran, and especially now, when again there's a risk of the escalation. So, how you see that where things are unfolding?
Well, as far as the Iran war is concerned, uh, clearly Mr. Trump is flailing. He doesn't know what to do. And the Iranians are negotiating very hard. I'm afraid that it may be too hard for their own good because there is a point where Trump can, if too humiliated, Trump can inflict lots of damage on Iran. And of course, the price that will be paid is not going to be by the United States, it's going to be by the Arab states that Iran will strike back at. Hopefully, there is consensus in the US that this war must come to an end, and popular and Congress pressure on Mr. Trump will hopefully work to get him to stop the war.
Mhm. So recently we saw that Houthis has been into the international headlines, and they have been involved into that lot of mean that the attacks that and so how you think that the Houthis, especially towards the Saudi Arabia, mean that how big potential threat it could be towards the Saudi Arabia, and mean what is their strength?
Well, the strength of the Houthis is that they have nothing to lose. That is really the main source of their strength. And observers are a bit confused by this escalation and the timing of it. And let me just try to unpack this thing for you. The fact of the matter is, the Houthis' main objective, strategic objective, is to make a deal with Saudi Arabia. Because if they make a deal with Saudi Arabia, then they will get financial aid, they will have legitimacy, etc. The Saudis were willing to do that in 2023, but when October 7th took place and the Houthis got involved in the axis of resistance, it became impossible for them to do it. And now the war is, despite the fact that it's frozen in the Gulf between the US and Iran, but it's clear that this thing is going to end in a deal between the two sides. It will come to a conclusion by reaching an agreement. Whatever the agreement is, the Houthis are afraid that it will entail giving concessions by Iran to the US that involves them. They see,
Hmm.
although now they are, in terms of military power, the most powerful ally of Iran in the region, but the differences between the Houthis and Iran and between the Yemenis and the Iranian people are so great that the possibility of keeping Yemen as the Houthis uh, and the Yemeni people as an ally of Iran in the future In peacetime, is almost non-existent because Yemenis are very close to Saudi Arabia. There are 3 million Yemenis work in Saudi Arabia. Yemen cannot survive economically without special relations with Saudi Arabia.
Hmm.
So they want to make a deal with the Saudis before the Iranians make a deal with the Americans and give up, make concessions at the expense of the Houthis. That is why they are escalating now. And when they escalated against Saudi Arabia, the Saudis were calm and wise, and they did not escalate. They just kept their patience. So now the Houthis are escalating internally in Yemen against the government. This escalation is related to their pressure to bring the Saudis to the negotiation table and give them a good deal.
Hmm. So when we talk about the Yemen internationally recognized government, so what does it mean? Mean that because the geopolitics and especially the political landscape in Yemen mean that you are from Yemen. So can you explain? Mean that who is who in Yemen? Mean that the Houthis and especially currently the government. What is the writ of the government? And when there is something happened, especially uh, mean that Houthis do something. Are they involved in any kind of the attack or something like this? And then there is some other countries. Like recently we saw there was 3 Pakistanis who was killed in a strike. So then mean that who will talk to whom? Mean that as let's suppose that Pakistani government or Pakistan mean a foreign ministry, I think they said that they will talk someone. So they will talk with the Houthis, or mean that who is who in the who is responsible of Yemen affairs?
Let's go back a little bit in history to make this clear. During the Arab Spring, the former president of Yemen, Ali Abdullah Saleh, resigned under pressure from the protesters in the squares, and a new government came about that included representatives of all parties, but the parties that were already in contact with the central government. The Houthis were a rebellion in the far north of the city that were still in a state of war against the central government, so they were not represented. Uh, and in 2012, a government of national unity was formed to take the country in a transition to a more democratic, more decentralized, representative government. Uh, and that's where the Houthis took the advantage of the transition and moved on the capital and allied themselves with the former president, who had still had lots of leverage, and they overthrew the internationally recognized government of national unity, and the president fled, and most of the members of the cabinet fled to Aden, and the Houthis chased them to Aden, and they ended up fleeing to Saudi Arabia. They are still the legitimate government of Yemen, and since that time until now, uh, the the government has actually taken uh, some measure to become a real government. So they are based in Aden instead of being in exile. They unified the command of the army. The government forces were actually a member of warlords with no central command. Now there is central command, and warlords are submitting to the commander in chief, the president. The Houthis, on the other side, uh, took over the capital, took over the state institutions, took over the national army, and they became the de facto government. So you had de jure government that was in exile and de facto government that was in control of the majority of the population of Yemen. In 2015, shortly after 1 year after the Houthi takeover, uh, the Saudis and the Emiratis managed to kick the Houthis out of Aden and a couple of other governorates. But the Houthis continue to control the majority of the population. The Houthis are a combination of Taliban and their militancy and religious rigidity and their exclusion of women, their oppression of women, their oppression of minorities, and North Korea and their police control and their attempt to prevent people from accessing information. They have been trying to find a way to stop the internet, but they haven't been able to do that yet. And they are spying on everyone. Everyone is under surveillance. The Houthis are very good fighters, but they're very poor rulers. And there's no way they can continue to rule that important part of Yemen.
Mm. So let's come to the recently the trilateral agreement, defense pact, that is the Mecca pact, Mecca defense pact, that is signed between the Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Pakistan. So, mean that you mentioned earlier that Houthis are also trying to have some sort of the peace deal with Saudi Arabia. So, under this trilateral agreement, mean, do you think that there is a collision between this trilateral defense forces and towards the Houthis? And do you think that they are some sort of the mean that Houthis can challenge this trilateral defense of Saudi Arabia?
A lot of people think that the trilateral agreement is to protect Saudi Arabia from the Houthis. Nothing is far from the truth as this. The fact of the matter is, this is a strategic development of profound significance. It will change the face of not just the region, but I think the entire global geostrategic position. The Houthis are a small, tiny part of the considerations of this trilateral agreement. Uh, the, the agreement came about because the United States has not only stopped providing security for the Gulf states, but have also assisted Israel in extending their hegemonic uh, reach throughout the region. And in effect, Israel has become the major threat to the Gulf states, not Iran. And Saudi Arabia which has planned to try to get rid of its reliance on the US for decades, and that included warming up to Russia at some point, and then warming up to China recently. And you recall the Chinese mediation between Iran and Saudi Arabia to normalize relations. All of that is a long process of strategic repositioning by Saudi Arabia to get rid of its reliance on the US and be able to have independent regional security, and most likely with the support over the long term of China. And I believe that the vision of the strategy of the trilateral agreement is that Iran should be part of it at some point in time when all these problems are over, because Iran is clearly an important component of the anti-Israel, anti-US front that is being formed right now.
So sorry, I did not catch your thing that you think that Iran would be the part of this defense agreement in future.
At some point, I am confident that Iran will become part of the agreement, and Egypt will become part of the agreement, because they are facing a dying empire supporting Israel and anything that it does, and Israel is becoming too hegemonic, too threatening to all the region.
So, but I think that that was the dream of the Mohammed bin Salman, because he was dreaming of to establish a Muslim countries NATO, and I think that that is his vision 2030, that he is trying, and I think that Turkish president also said that this is not a threat to any country, and they also welcome to the other countries to join this group. So do you think that this could be really a setup of the vision and the strategy of the Mohammed bin Salman to establish a Muslim countries NATO, and how practical it could be?
I think the word Muslim is misleading. I think we're talking about uh, middle powers that may include non-Muslim countries that feel that they have to come together to have mutual defense uh, strategy, and hopefully that that will take place with countries from Africa joining in. But at this time, it is being called Sunni, and it's not really Sunni. Uh, Turkey has diversity. Pakistan is diverse, and I think Iran is likely, and Iraq are likely to join, and Syria are likely to join this defensive pact.
So there are also some news that the Egypt is absent in this Mecca pact. I mean, so how you see like the position of Egypt, especially in this defense pact?
I don't think Egypt is in a big hurry to join because they are now relying on economic cooperation with the Emirates. They're selling gas to Israel. They are vulnerable, and they of course get assistance from the U.S. They're vulnerable economically. Therefore, there is no rush, and they're not the first to be attacked in Netanyahu's list. Netanyahu's talking about getting Turkey, and then his his competitor uh, said that they should prepare. Israel should prepare to fight Egypt in the next 15 years. But I think that as the U.S. Continues to withdraw from the region, that Egypt will eventually join.
So you mentioned that this the defense pact actually is to countering the Israeli aggression and the Israeli influence in the Middle East. So mean that under the current circumstances, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey, I think they are quite close towards the United States, especially Pakistan, because its role as a mediator and then being a messenger in all this process. So if this Mecca pact is to counter Israel, so do you think that it has a real endorsement from Washington, or it has some consent that yes, you guys go along with this pact?
I am confident that the Americans are upset. The Israelis are very alarmed. The Indians are very alarmed. They all call it a very bad development. The US has been quiet, but they are not happy with it because they know it will lead to less dependence by the Gulf states, by Saudi Arabia in particular, because the Emirates is actually going with Israel and India in this regard. Uh, it will lead to decline in the dependence of Saudi Arabia in security matters on the US.
Mm. So you mentioned about the Indian engagement. So we saw a different mean that in Middle East, especially in GCC countries, so there is mean that different priorities. Mean some GCC member countries are very close to India. So do you think that this pact will give a rise of the competition, and maybe India will also engage in such sort of the agreements with some other GCC countries in the near future?
The only country in the region that is going likely to continue to be in alliance and let's say security cooperation with India is the United Arab Emirates. The United Arab Emirates chose the opposing axis, which is India, United Arab Emirates, Israel, and the US behind them. Uh, I think that it is obvious India is a natural competitor to China, and therefore the US is going to be behind them.
So that seems it's a realignment and it's a quite complex geopolitical shift in the Middle East. Mean that there is a complete realignment. So mean that how complicated it would be, because it seems like this that it's going to be grouping and then regrouping. So I mean that, do you think that how the balance of power would be remain, especially under such kind of the circumstances? So do you think that it could pave a way and it could risk especially, and the chances of the collision would be increased?
Any realignment in geostrategy has consequences, sometimes very violent, and miscalculations could lead to conflict and war. Hopefully, this access will evolve slowly over time as a peaceful enterprise and avoid triggering any conflicts or threatening any country. It has to be defensive and it has to build up slowly over many years.
Mm. And my last question is this: that how you see Turkey role, especially in this Mecca Pact, because we saw that Turkey and especially the Arabs, they don't have mean that a golden past. If we go back towards the last Sharif, who was the custodian of the two holy cities, so we don't have good memories of that time. And even Turkey and Saudi Arabia was always into the tense relation, but we saw that there is continuously improvement of the ties between Erdogan and Mohammed bin Salman. So how you see Turkey in this role, being a member of the NATO and then towards this bloc?
Well, according to Mr. Trump, the NATO has already outlived its utility, and he was trying to dismantle it. Turkey has been threatened directly by Israel, and everybody knows that if Israel attacks Turkey, everybody knows where the US is going to stand. They will stand with Israel. I think that the world is changing fast, and the significance of NATO is declining, and therefore Turkey saw the need to have, let's say, an auxiliary structure of national security. It is just like in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia will not give up its economic and military cooperation with the US next year. It's going to be many years of slowly reducing its reliance on the US. And Turkey will do the same. I think that Turkey has seen the US turn against it in many instances. And they know that they better make good relations, collaborative security arrangements with their neighbors.
Thank you very much, Abdulghani Al-Iryani. And we were discussing about the unfolding situation in the Middle East. There is a regrouping the alliance and the Houthis that has been into the international headlines. And we also discussed some part of the Iran-US, mean that what's going next. So it was really a nice conversation with Abdulghani Al-Iryani. He is the researcher of the Sana Center, Yemen. Thank you very much, Abdulghani Irani. And for our viewers, you can follow our Eastern Horizon Facebook page. You can subscribe our YouTube channel and also follow us on Twitter. We are trying to give an objective and a balanced view of different international conflicts, geopolitics, and the international relation. So thank you very much for watching, and we will come up again with some other topic on Eastern Horizon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.